Finishers are an integral part of Destiny 2, and I feel like they aren't utilized as much as they could be by the community. They provide a lot of great aspects from survivability, playing into mods, and even playing into some exotics that add benefits to them. Finishers are a very strong tactic any character and anyone can use, and I've been eager to make this video for new and returning players, and even veteran players, so maybe they can learn something new. I hope to show you just how far you can take finishers and how it is going to up your game dramatically. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about finishers in general. This is where you're going to find your finishers tab. You can select your favorite one, so it will always do that finisher all the time unless you are in, say, the air or just some situation where it can't perform that emote. Essentially, it will do your base finisher, but if you have one favorite, it will always do that one, and you can select multiple favorites and it will try to always do those as well. Also, a note, make sure you know where your finisher is bound to, because I've played with a lot of newer players that don't even know what the finisher is. Be sure to select it to something that you find comfortable on both mouse and keyboard and controller, so you can hit it as often as possible. So what is a finisher? Well, essentially, when you get an enemy very weak, they're going to spawn a yellow orb over their head, which is going to indicate to you that they can be finished. You are then going to get up close to the enemy, hit your finisher key, and you're going to perform your finisher animation. This will always kill enemies no matter where they're at. If they have the yellow ball above their head and you finish them, they will die. A nice thing to note is that these finishers have a very long range. You don't have to be directly on top of an enemy to hit it. So a thing you could do is move towards the enemy and spam your finisher key, and eventually you will be in range. And I'm telling you, it does have a very generous range, and you will just instantly just leap, teleport over to the enemy, perform your animation, and they're dead. Now, obviously in lower tier content, things are a lot easier to kill. You don't really have to finish enemies as much, but in higher end content, being able to make sure you get a kill on a champion or even a tougher target in a raid is very, very beneficial. A lot of the times you'll get a champion one shot and you have to get ready to stun them again. Well, if they are finishable, you don't have to worry about stunning them, and you could just go up and perform a finisher on them. So many times I've seen players where they are finishable, but they don't do it, and then champions just heal back to full. Also, a thing to note is to not be scared when you're using the finisher. When you're in your finisher, you actually receive a good amount of damage reduction, so if you are getting shot, you aren't going to instantly die. That's why it's totally okay to use these in harder in-game content, because most of the time you can get out. Now, I know that all sounds really simple to most people, but in more scenarios, say you run out of special ammo, you can't swap to your primary because it's just going to tickle whatever bigger enemy you're shooting at. You could just run up to them while they have around 30% of the health and just instantly kill them and move on to the next area. There's no downtime other than the animation itself, and you don't have to worry about wasting something like your heavy or taking a long time of gunning them down a primary. Another example is if you're in a sticky situation, say an unstoppable champion is chasing you, you can get him weak enough to where he can be finished, and you can just instantly get them out the picture. No more threats coming to you, and you don't have to worry about shooting something while it's constantly chasing you. And then the final note before we get into the next part, like I was talking about with the damage reduction, if you are in a very sticky situation, you can pop a finisher to take some more damage, and maybe you'll live a little bit longer. Maybe somebody will throw a healing grenade on you. Anything can clear up, any situation can be changed, and just popping that on an enemy will give you more time to think about your next move. Now, speaking of next moves, ways you can actually play into your finishers are with finisher base mods. Every single bond is going to have the ability to slot in finisher mods, and every single bond has access to special finisher and snap loop finisher. Special ammo finisher will actually generate special ammo for your whole fire team, and it requires 1/3 of your super energy. That is going to be a trend with these finisher base mods. They do require some of your super energy, so if you have the ability to get that super back, it is going to be very beneficial because a lot of these are very strong. Obviously, you generate special ammo for your divinity user, or if you're out of ammo in any situation, just getting this is going to be really good. Then Snapload Finisher is a mod that is going to require 1/10 of your super energy, but it's going to reload all your weapons when you finish them. This could be good in a very sticky situation. If you do need to get your guns reloaded, you can go pop a finisher, then you can get out of there and all your guns are reloaded, ready to go. This is definitely not one of the strongest ones, and comparing that to special finisher is just leagues beyond. Now, every single affinity, aka this one is Stasis, has their own mod as well. So Stasis has restorative finisher. So when you use a finisher, you gain a portion of energy for your least recharge ability. It requires 1/10 of your super energy. This one's okay. You will get some energy for your least charge abilities, but it does require 1/10 of your super. And since it is random based on whatever ability is lower, other ones are going to be better, and that is in our other affinities. So on Arc Affinity, since Arc is normally based around melee, you have the affinity 1/2 finisher. So this is going to restore your melee abilities, and it requires 1/6 of your super energy. This does require a lot of super, but it will automatically refill your melee. If you're playing a Bonk Hammer build, if you're playing a Shield Bash build, if you're playing any build that requires its melee to be its main suit and the super doesn't really matter as much, taking this is going to be very strong. Just if you were ever in any situation you do need to get a melee back, you can pop this and you get it back. This is also going to be a trend for both Solar and Void. Void is typically the class ability based one, so they have utility finishers. So when you finish enemy, it requires 1/10 of your super, but you restore your class ability. Obviously, this is a lot stronger on things like Titans and Warlocks, since their cooldowns are a lot longer. Specifically on Warlocks, it can be very good if you do need to get your Healing Rift or Empowering Rift back. But you also do have Bulwark finisher for Void, so when you finish an enemy, it requires 1/4 of your super energy, but you generate an overshield. Obviously, overshields playing into Void 3.0 is going to be very strong. This is a way for any class to actually get an overshield for yourself very easily, and it just requires some of your super. Then finally, in the Solar affinity, we have things like healthy finishers. So finishers heal you, and it's going to require 1/10 of your super energy. This is obviously very strong if you're playing into the survivability aspect. You run up, you finish enemy, you get that damage reduction, and you're going to heal when you come out of it. They also do have explosive finisher, which is a very strong mod. So this is going to restore your grenades and require 1/5 of your super energy. So again, you use some of that super, but if you have a build that's heavily based around your grenades, which are a lot of builds in this game, you're going to instantly get that grenade back, and you're never going to have any downtime at all, and you can always spam grenades as much as you need to. Now, you don't have to play into any of those mods. They are just options for you, and I definitely think the strongest one probably is going to be special finisher to generate that ammo, and the ones to guarantee your melee and grenade cooldown back, or even class ability if you are playing on a Warlock. But the cool part is that it doesn't end there. There are fragments in the game on specific subclasses that will actually play into it. So you see on Void 3.0 here, we have Echo Obscurity. So finisher final blows will grant invisibility. So now when you finish the enemy, you're obviously getting all the benefits I've already talked about previously in the video, and if you're playing into the mods. But now when you come out of the finisher, you're going to be invisible. This is really good to get out of any situation, and then obviously if you pair this with the mod that grants you an overshield or heals you, you're going to be back to full health or a very tanky health bar in general, and you're going to be good to go. Now, another cool one is on Arc, where you can actually become amplified when you finish an enemy. This one doesn't matter as much, and not a lot of people use it, but I thought I'd just throw it in there because it is a finisher based fragment. Now, there is one more mod that I need to go over, and that is Reactive Pulse. This is a Arc Charger Light mod, so it's going to have a secondary benefit, and if you slot in a Arc mod, you will get access to it, or if you slot in another Arc Charger Light mod, this is going to activate its second perk. This second perk says gaining powerful overshield while performing your finisher. So when you have this equipped, you get that damage reduction and you get an overshield, which makes you even more tanky. It pretty much makes you invincible. Then if you play into your mods where you get health back, you get the overshield, you get an overshield coming out of it. And if you play into Void 3.0, you can also go invisible while doing all this. All this is going to stack, and it still has the added benefit where it's going to guarantee a kill on the bigger target. Now, the final thing that matters is actually exotics. There are a couple exotics in the game that are heavily based on finishers, specifically things like Felwinter's Helm. This does have the ability to debuff enemies when you finish targets and get power melee kills, but the main thing is, obviously for this video, is when you finish targets, you will debuff enemies around that finished target. This is actually a very strong exotic if you do use it in the right situations. If you can debuff a boss with it, if there's a little small enemy beside them, and you can take advantage of aggressively using your finisher. Now, the hunters also have things like Assassin's Cowl, so when they actually activate the finishers, they will go invisible and heal, and the more powerful enemies they finish will actually grant more visibility and get you more health. And they also have their new exotic Falcon's Halberd, so when they finish an enemy while they're invisible, it's going to give everybody overshield. And then finally, Titan even has an exotic with Severance Enclosure, so your power melee final blows and finishers will actually release an explosion, which basically makes your finisher an added clear ability now if there are enemies around. And you can really see how you can actually play into these finishers a lot. They're not only just used for finisher target stuff, they can actually heavily be used in a lot of builds and create really unique things. So for example, since I'm on my Warlock, let's take a look at Felwinter's Helm. If we use this helmet right here and we get a finisher near a target, we're going to debuff all the enemies around them. Then if we actually take things like Void 3.0, after we get that finisher kill, we will go invisible after that, which means we have free reign to do whatever we want to do. If we want to run away from those enemies, we can, or if we want to fight them because they're debuffed, you can. And then you can run a mod on your bond. Say if I want to run healthy finisher, this means I'm going to be fully healed if I do choose to go into that fight with the debuffed targets, or if I want to obviously run something like an overshield or special finisher to get some ammo for that fight, I could do that as well. And just by making sure you hit your finisher key, you have all that going on for you in one action, and I think that is very, very strong. And now for the final part of this, I don't think this would be a finisher video without having to talk about Aeon Souls, specifically with Sect of Insights. This is going to make it when you finish a champion or a higher health target in general, you will actually spawn heavy ammo. If it is an elite, you will spawn special, so it's kind of like a free special finisher without actually actually having to use, you know, your super energy. And on top of that, you will also generate heavy on bigger targets. So Aeon Souls is almost running every single in-game build in any in-game scenario. You typically always have one person run this just so you can have ammo for your team. So now if you want to run these with everything else I've just said, and even throw something like a reactive pulse mount on here to gain that overshield, you have so much working for you now just with a simple finisher that was normally just meant to kill an enemy that was at low health. Don't get me wrong, it is still extremely strong for that, and I would highly advise if you do see a yellow or orange bar enemy that is weak, that is very hard to kill if you are in a raid or just any in-game scenario, just spam your finisher on them, go up, kill them, and it's going to do you a lot better than having to waste your ammo, and you can preserve that for the next encounter or just anything you have to do. But then if you want to get a little crazy and play into the finisher aspect, you can use everything I said in this video, and it's going to help you out dramatically, and I think you'll all start to see just how strong finishers can be. I really hope you all enjoyed this video and learned something new, and if you guys did enjoy and want to see more content just like this, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.